Mic check. Excellent. We begin tonight with Mincha before the Kol Nidre service, page 431 in your Machzorim, 431. Ashrei Oshrei Veitecha Odialu Chasel Ashrei Ha'am Shekacha Lo Ashrei Ha'am Shadonai Lo Avti Lo Avinavi Aromim Chalo Hayam Melech Bavar Chashim Chalo Yamolem Amar Ndadar Shibach Matzach V'Dachem Rakavot Dachem V'Dachem V'Dachem Asicha V'Zuz Nertech Yomir Docha Sapran Nazech Raptu Chayim Hanan Baruch Umadonai Chapay Mundat Tavalem. Tehilat Adonai Daber Pi Vivarak Basar Shem God Shalei Olam V'Ed V'Anachnu Nevarech Ya Me'atavi Ad Olam. Hallelujah. We rise for Chatzi Kaddish 432. Yitkadal V'Ikana Shemei Rabbah Be'alma Dirak Yerutei V'Yamlich Malchutei B'Chayechon V'Yamachon V'Chayet Chol Beit Yisrael Ba'Galav Yisman Kari V'Yimeru Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah Mevorach Le'olam Olam Me'al Yitbarach V'Yishtabach V'Yitbar V'Yitman V'Yitnasei V'Yitadar V'Yitala V'Yitala Shemed Kudsha Brichu Le'ela Le'ela Mikol Berchata V'Shirata Tushbachata V'Nechamata Damiran Be'ama V'Imru Amen. We'll begin the Amidah together, out loud together, through the Kedusha, page 433. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu Elohei Avoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor V'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, V'Konei Hakol, V'Zocher Chastei Avot, Umevi Goel Livnei B'neihem, Leman Shemo B'Yahava, Zochrenu Lechayim, Melech HaFetz B'Chayim, V'Chotvenu B'Sefer HaChayim, Lema'ancha Elohim Chayim, Melech Ozer Ufoked Umoshia Umagen, Baruch Atah Adonai, Magen Avraham Ufokein Sarah, Atah Gibor Le'elam Adonai, Mechaye Metim Hatarav Loshia, Mechakel Chayim B'Chesed, Mechaye Metim B'Rachamim Rabim, Somech Noflim V'Rofech Cholim Umatir Asurim, Kayem Emunato Lishenei Afar, Mi Chamocha Ba'al Gevurot Umito Melech, Melech Meimitum Chaya Umatzmiach Yeshua, Mi Chamocha Av Harachamim, Zocher Yitzurav Lechayim B'Rachamim, V'ne'eman Atah L'Hachayot Meitim, Baruch Atah Adonai Mechayei HaMeitim. נקדש את שמך בעולם כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום ככתוב היה נביאך וקרא זה אל זה ואמר קדוש 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 אדוני צבאות מלוך לארץ כבודו לעומתם ברוך יאמרו ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו דברי קודשך כתוב לאמור Yimlach Adonai le'olam Elohayech Tzion Lador Vador Hallelujah Lador Vador Nagid Godlecha Ulnetzach Netzachim Kedushatcha Nakdish Veshivcha Chai Eloheinu Mipinu lo yamush le'olam v'ed Ki Melech Gadol v'kadosh ata Baruch atah Adonai HaMelech HaKadosh. continue with Kaddish Shalem 441. Yitkada v'yikra shemei rabba ve'amad ivra kirteh ve'amlech malchuteh b'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala v'zman kariv v'imaro. Amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitbar v'yitrumam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitala v'yitalal shemei d'kudsha. Brichu le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata damiran ve'amavimru. Amen. Titkabal telotan va'utahon dechol Yisrael kodam avuhon divishmaya v'imru. Amen. Ye'esh lama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav hu yaseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. We rise for Aleinu 442. Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol latet gedula leotzer breishit shelo asanu kegoyei haratzot velo samanu kemishpachot adama shelo sam chelkeinu kahem vegor aleinu kechol hamonam. V'anachnu korim u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malchei hamalachim hakadosh baruch hu shehu noteh shamayim ve'yosei haaretz u'moshav yekaro b'shamayim imam u'shchinatu zo begovei meromim. Hu Eloheinu Einod Emet Malkeinu Efes Ulato Kakatuv Betorato Ve'adata Yom Ve'hashevota El Levavecha Ki Adonai Hu Elohim B'shamayim imah Ve'al haaretz mitachateinon. Al ken nekavel Adonai Eloheinu libra mehei rab diferet u'zechal haver gilui minar tvanim letaken olam b'malchut shaddai v'chol bnei basar v'chol v'chol kol shel gilui. V'ne'amar v'haya Adonai lemelech al kol haaretz bayom hahu yi Adonai echad u'shemo echad. You can be seated. All those who are in mourning or observing a yahrzeit, I invite you to join me in Mourner's Kaddish, page 443. Yit gadal v'yit kadash shemei rabbah Be'alma divra kiruteh ve'amlich malchuteh b'chayechon uvyomechon uvchayei d'chol beit Yisrael ba'agala uvizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei rabba mevorach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh V'yitadar, v'yitaleh, v'yitalal, shemei d'kudsha brichu. Le'ela, mikol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata, da'amiran be'alma v'imru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. You can be seated. You can turn back to in your machzor to page 202. Sorry, 204. Many of our favorite holidays from our childhood celebrate momentous, exciting, miraculous events. With Pesach, the splitting of the sea, or with Purim, the defeat of Haman in Shushan, Hanukkah, the victory of the Maccabees. I imagine for most of you, as a kid, your favorite holiday was not Yom Kippur. And I think one of the reasons that it's hardest for people to conceive of Yom Kippur in that favorite way is that Yom Kippur asks us to not think about a moment in history where something miraculous happened, but it asks us to think about ourselves. That is a much harder task, and that's why we're all here. Yom Kippur asks us to celebrate our presence in this world, to honor everything that we offer to it, and for us to do the deep work of understanding ourselves better, who we are, what role we play in our world, in our relationships. That work is not usually our favorite. It's hard. But it is some of the most important work that we can do in this world. To be better people for those that we love, for those that we encounter. I hope that over the next 25 hours, while it still might not be your favorite, that you take the time to think about what parts of yourself are worth celebrating, and what parts of yourself do you hope to be celebrating differently next year. I invite you to rise, and I invite up all of our past presidents to open the Ark and take out the Sifrei Torah. Hi, 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 hi. By the authority of the court on high, and by the authority of this court below, with divine consent and with the consent of this congregation, we grant permission to pray with those who have transgressed. Page 205.
Kol Nidre v'yasarei v'charamei v'konamei v'chinuyei v'kinusei u'shevuot dinedar Shabana Yudi Acharimena Didi die 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 Didi da 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 Vide Asarana Hal Nafshatana Miyom Kippurim Zeh Ahad Yom Kippurim Adai 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 Didi da 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 Adai Didi da 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 Didi da 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 Haba Aleyanu Letova Kulehon Icharatna Vehon Kulhon Yehon Shiran Shevitin Betelinu Mevutalin Didi da 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 yidi da 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 La Sharirin Villa Kayamin Niterana La Nidre Viesarana Didi da 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 La Esare Ushevuatana La Shevuot V'nislach l'chol adat b'nei Yisrael v'lager hagar b'tocham ki l'chol ham bishgagan Slach na lavon ham hazeh kegodel chasedecha v'chasher nasat al'am hazeh mimitzrayim v'yadehina v'sham ne'emar Vayomer Adonai salachti kitvarecha
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehecheyanu v'kimanu v'higianu lazman hazeh Page 207. Nine, 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 nine. Ay, 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 oh, 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 oh. can be seated. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Amen. 208. Avat olam beit Yisrael amcha Torah mitzvot kuvim mishpatim natan limad etalgin. בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה
אשר אנוכי
מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך. We continue silently through the next two paragraphs of the Shema. והיה שמוע תשמעו את אשר אנוכי מצווה אתכם היום נתתי מתארצכם ביתו יראו כושבי אספת בגנך ותירשך לצערך ונתתי עשב בשרך לבהמתך ויאכלת ושבעת ישמעו לכם ונבטל לבעלכם וסרתם אותי משכם בחרפם לבכם ויצרתם אותי בחרפם לבית Middle of 210. Adonai Amen. 2:11, we pray for peace and shelter with Hashkivenu. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom, b'hamidenu malkeinu l'chaim ufros aleinu, sukat shalom echa, v'takanenu b'tzatava milfanecha, v'osheinu
Ufros aleinu, sukat shalom echa, baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu, v'al kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim.
We rise, fifth line of 212.
Ki bayom hazeh yechaper alechem letaher etchem mikol chatotechem. Lifnei Adonai titeharu, yitgadal veitkadash shemei rabbah, miyalma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei b'chayechon u'b'yomechon u'b'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael b'hagala u'b'zman karim v'yimeru amen. Yehi shmei Rabbah mevorach le'olam u'yomei almaya. Yitbarach ve'yishtabach v'yitpar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha
Very cool.
le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata damiran be'oma ve'imeru amen.
The silent Amidah can be found beginning on page 213 through 221. Sebastian Francisco Perez came to this country from Guatemala, and he lived in the Willamette Valley, a farmland community that grows fruit in Oregon. He got a job working in the field so that he could save money to grow his own family. Perez also owed money to a coyote, someone who helped him come into the States illegally. So earlier this summer, in the midst of a completely unprecedented heat wave in the Pacific Northwest, when others asked to take the day off because of the unbearable heat, Perez asked to work so he could get his daily wage. I first heard of Perez's story while sweating buckets myself in the 90-something degree heat of Memphis summer. I was doing some intensive yard work, and I knew that I likely wouldn't finish it on my own. I would hire someone else to complete the task. I chugged a bottle of water and looked at my watch, pausing my podcast as I came inside, deciding I was done for the day. I entered my air-conditioned home. It was maybe after an hour and a half outside. And I pressed play to continue learning about Sebastian Francisco Perez. His relatives discouraged him from working during the heat wave, but being committed to earning his wages, he wouldn't budge. He worked several hours that day and then collapsed amongst the trees. He died, along with almost 200 people that died from this particular heat wave in the Pacific Northwest. The irony of learning about Perez in the way that I did wrecked me. I listened to his story, myself feeling the intensity of the heat, while I knew that I would return to cool shelter. As I thought about Perez's devastating story, I wondered why, with no shortage of information about climate change, it hadn't been an issue that I had been particularly motivated to work on. Al chet shechatati lefanecha be'ones uveratzon ve'al chet shechatati lefanecha be'yodim uvelo yodim. I have sinned against you intentionally and unintentionally, and I have sinned against you knowingly and unknowingly. Was it worse if I heard the pleas but didn't respond, or was it worse to pretend I wasn't listening? Why, when so many of us have championed issues relating to immigrants or racial justice, rallied around marriage equality and reproductive health care, what has kept me? What has kept so many of us from devoting the same attention to the quickly deteriorating planet we inhabit? With cry after cry from scientists, with a report earlier this summer that is as clear as day about how significantly our Earth is being destroyed, why are my eyes and my heart not more open? Why have we constructed the social means to not talk about it? The story of Perez should not have bulldozed me in the way that it did. Al chet shechatati, for the sin of not paying attention. A report was recently approved by 195 governments based on 14,000 studies, urging individuals and corporations and government to swiftly and sharply change the way that we interact with our environment. But none of us need the facts. We know them because we have felt scientists shaking our shoulders for decades with the imperative to change. I am not going to hit you over the head with any statistics. I don't need to hear any more data, and you don't either. Clearly, knowing the facts hasn't worked enough to inspire me, or many of us here, to act in significant ways. On some level, I, and perhaps some of you as well, made a choice to not listen. There is no longer any scientific inquiry needed when it comes to the environment. The only inquiry left is the study of human behavior. On this holiday that asks us to participate in the deepest type of introspection, I ask myself, why is this something we have been ignoring? And how do I shift my orientation? Shankar Vednam, who hosts the Hidden Brain podcast, took his listeners along a family trip to Alaska. They visited the Mendenhall Glacier, which has receded more than 1.5 miles in the last century. Though the receding glacier isn't proof of any climate change, it is an extremely visible expression of it. Throughout Vednam's vacation, we hear interviews with other visitors unwilling to accept the scientific consensus that climate change was having any real consequences. Over and over, despite what even the park's experts taught, visitors refused to believe what was in front of them. So when Vednam returned from his vacation, he spoke with George Marshall, a climate activist who wrote a book aptly called Don't Even Think About It: Why Our Brains Are Wired to Ignore Climate Change. Their conversation inspired me to think about why I have not been focused on this issue despite hearing the cries. There are 3 main things that make us as human beings immune to change in general, and they create the perfect storm when it comes to climate change. 1, it feels too distant and far in the future. It doesn't feel urgent to us. The dangers of a deteriorating ecosystem feel far off, not something knocking at our door in this moment. We are used to seeing and responding to immediate needs in front of us. 2, we are reluctant to deal with things that remain uncertain. While we know the effects of climate change will be devastating, no scientist can tell us exactly what it will be like in exactly how many years. This makes it hard for us to imagine what we're up against, which leaves us feeling unobliged. The third, perhaps the most difficult for our human sensibilities, is that confronting climate change will involve making sacrifices. We don't want to bear the cost, and when we have to make a big sacrifice, we push off those choices as long as possible. When there's a reward, we are usually motivated, but when there is a cost, an inconvenience, we balk. When the dividends aren't exactly certain and when they are in the future, we aren't compelled. Often when it comes to other issues, we feel noble and experience a sense of self-righteousness that we have helped achieve justice. We see the direct results of our actions. But I have been left with a crippling sense of wonder at how much I am actually willing to sacrifice. How much of my own comforts am I willing to give up? How many of the conveniences I enjoy am I willing to forego? There is something particular about the practice of religion that harnesses what our brains can accommodate. Our Jewishness needs to be the very thing that pushes us to care and act on the climate crisis. Religion influences our actions in all kinds of ways. Eating behaviors, words in my mouth at various times of the day. It pushes all of us to show up here tonight. Judaism expands our brains to care about things that aren't urgent, that are uncertain, and it urges us to sacrifice. Religion harnesses our yearning to be connected to deeper and grander values than ourselves, yearning to do things for our fellow people that may not be tangible in the here and now. We are poised to respond to this crisis specifically because of the orientation that Judaism says we can have to the world as it could be. Judaism invites us to transcend our natural instincts. Acting in our climate's best interest must be a sacred, non-negotiable value. The second paragraph of the Shema is often dismissed as containing outdated and punitive theology that if we don't follow God's laws, we will be punished. But this passage essentially declares that what we put out into the world will come back to us. If we don't follow the rules that have been outlined, it will not go well. And I don't believe this is to say that God is punishing us. But I believe that if this text is to have any meaning for us in this modern world, its call to awareness about our role in the world. It teaches that the more we will be blessed, the more likely we will be to forget the source of that blessing. And so here's what we must do. Take these words, the words of this teaching, and put them on your heart. Wrap yourself in them so that they become your garment. Teach them to your children and put them on the doorposts of your homes so that you will think about them every moment of walking in and out. When I read this paragraph of the Shema through the lens of climate change, I hear our sacred ancient words telling me that these are rules, cries that I need to care about, and that if I hope for our world to be blessed, then it must shape my behavior. The only way for us to accomplish that is for each of us to take one step at a time to value the state of our earth more than our conveniences. Many people's favorite teaching from Pirkei Avot reminds us that Lo alecha hamlacha ligmor velo ata ben chorin lihibatel mimena. It is not upon you to complete the work, but you are not free to desist from it. This cannot merely be a catchy tune that we sing at summer camp. It must be an imperative that we internalize. That if we actually want to chip away at the damage done to our earth, we will be required to give things up. When the fear of this becomes too large, too threatening, we avoid the very thing that's asking us to sacrifice. Al chet shechatati, for the sin of being too comfortable, for refusing to give things up. In the second Parsha of Genesis, just after God created the world, people acted horribly, and God destroyed almost all of humanity with a catastrophic flood. The rainbow became the great symbol of God's covenant and God's promise to never destroy the world again. Writer Jonathan Safran Foer understands the rainbow as a metaphor. It is a rope. It can be thrown to a drowning person, or it can be tied into a noose. He continues, no one who isn't us is going to destroy the earth, and no one who isn't us is going to save it. The most hopeless conditions can inspire the most hopeful actions. We have found ways to cause a total collapse of life on earth. We are the flood, and we are the ark. We are the flood, and we are the ark. In every moment, we have a choice. We can be a part of the floodwaters, or we can be a part of the life-saving ark. We are already the floodwaters. What will it take for us to be the ark? Older models of combating climate change dictated that major change would only come through government policies and regulations that would enhance the use of clean energy and reduce gases that warmed our planet. I lamented these findings, despairing in how hard it was to combat an issue that we as individuals couldn't address. It was bigger than us. Yet I realize that now that this outward lamenting also allowed me to sink deeper into my own complacency, desisting from making hard choices about my own behavior, disengaging from any need to sacrifice. It allowed me to throw my hands up. While of course I cared, I have no agency. Al chet shechatati, for the sin of convincing myself I couldn't make change. Recent reports have actually shown that two of the biggest impacts on our planet, two of the things that have the power to make the biggest change, are reducing food waste and moving towards a more plant-based diet. We all engage in food consumption every single day, and these findings disrupt my own complacency. How much am I willing to sacrifice? To what extent am I willing to change my own behavior for the future of our world? Imagine what our world could look like if each of us were willing to make some sacrifices. If each of us decided that we cared about the environment at least as much as our own consumption. We can be the flood, or we can be the ark. For a long time, climate change has been considered a tragedy of the commons, an idea that people will destroy the very things that sustain them. It views people as acting only in their own self-interest, following the actions of others and not able to see a bigger picture. That tragedy says that we will always choose to be the flood. But I refuse to see the world this way. I refuse to see a world where people are only motivated by their personal rewards. I inhabit a world where I believe we can be moved and motivated by our values, our identities, and our sense of belonging. I live in a Jewish framework where we can think beyond ourselves, where each of us can make sacrifices even when the risk may be in the future, even if it may be uncertain. I have faith in a religion that compels us, can expand our ability to give of ourselves even if we don't know the returns, but because we believe in it as a sacred, non-negotiable value. I believe we can build a world, change a world, with the vision to see a greater good. And I believe and hope in a world that when we are given the choice to be the flood or the ark, that we will more often choose to be the ark. Ken Yehiratzon. We'll turn to page 223 in our Machzorim. This is the Piyut Ya'aleh, which is an exploration of the unfolding values that happen over the course of these 25 hours of Yom Kippur. 223. Tachanunenu me'erev ve'yavo shavatenu mibokera ve'erinunenu Slikhotenu mibokera ve'yeranakatenu adareva nakatenu adareva ya Menuseinu me'erev Ve'yavo lema'ano mi bokera. Ve'era kipureinu ad areva. Ve'era kipureinu ad areva. Yishenu me'erem ve'yavo tohoreinu ay ve'erechinu neinu ad areva ve'erechinu neinu ya'ale zichroneinu me'erem ve'yavo vi'udeinu mi'bokera ve'era hadrateinu ad areva ve'era hadrateinu ad areva dovkeinu me'erem ve'yavo gileinu mi'bokera bakashateinu ad areva ve'era ad areva ya'ale en kateinu me'erem ve'yavo elecha mi'bokera ve'era eleinu ad areva ve'era eleinu ad areva. We continue at the top of 225. 224. Last two lines of that first paragraph.
Asher lo hayam
Vehu asahu ve'abeshet yadav yad sahar asher beyado nefesh kol chai v'ruach kol basar. 225. Ha-neshama lach ve'haguf polach chusa chusa ha-malach We recite the 13 attributes of God over and over throughout the holiday as a way of reminding ourselves of God's characteristics such that we may embody them, modeling ourselves after the divine. One of these attributes, we declare God as one who is notzer chesed la'alafim, keeping loving kindness for thousands of generations. This is a hyperbolic way of stating that God is one who bestows love to all of us, to our children, to our children's children, forever. It is a future-oriented love, a way of saying it doesn't matter who you are, I love you. It grounds us in our lives and reminds us that there is a future and there is love in that future. And we recite these attributes over and over, hopefully instilling in ourselves the knowledge that we are recipients of God's love forever, and we are also vessels of it, bestowing it to others. We rise, page 226. Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, Erech Hapayim, V'Rav Chesed v'Yemet, Notzer Chesed la'alafim, Nosei Avon v'Fesha, V'chatza'an v'nakeh, v'salachta lavoneinu, v'chatateinu unchaltanu. This part of the service, as you might see on the bottom of your machzor or in the red, is called Slikhot. It is the section of prayers of forgiveness. And throughout it, we have these Yud Gimel Midot, the 13 attributes of God, with different prayers interspersed. Now, I'll encourage you to find this sheet of paper that is in front of you. They're peppered throughout, I think, every other seat. So if it's not in yours, it'll be one close to you. This is Adon HaSlichot, where we sing about God as the master of forgiveness. Haselichot bochen levavot gole amukot dover tzedakot chatanu lefanecha rachem aleinu dor beniflaot vatik benechamot zocher berit avot choker kelayot chatanu lefanecha rachem aleinu tovu meitiv laberiot yodea kol nistarot kovesh avonot lovesh tzedakot chatanu lefanecha aleinu male zakiot nora tehilot soleach avonot one beyetzarot chatanu lefanecha aleinu poel yeshuot sofe atidot koreh hadorot rochev aravot page 229. El Melech Yoshev al Kisei Rachamim mitnaheg b'chasidut Marbe mechila l'chatayim u'slicha l'fosheim El horeta lanu lomar shalosh esrei zachor lanu hayom berit shlosh esrei Vayered Adonai be'anan vayityatzeh imosham Vayavor Adonai al panav vayikra Adonai Adonai El Rachum ve'chanun Erech Apayim V'rav chesed ve'emet Notzer chesed la'alafim Nosei avon va'fesha V'chata v'nakeh Lavoneinu u'chatatenu unchaltanu We turn to page 233. We remain standing as the ark is open for Shema Kolenu. תיקח ממנו, אל תשליכנו לעת זקנה, כי כלות כוחנו, אל תעזבנו. לטובה, לרצוננו ויבושו, כי אתה אדוני עזרנו. We remain standing as the ark is closed. We turn to page 234. ve'atecha ve'ata goraleinu anu tzonecha ve'ata ro'enu anu charmecha ve'ata notreinu ve'ulatecha ve'ata yotzreinu anu rayatecha ve'ata dodeinu anu segulatecha ve'ata keroveinu anu amecha ve'ata malkeinu anu mamirecha ve'ata mamireinu
Anu azefanim, viata rachum v'chanun. Anu kisheyoref, viata erech apayim. Anu milei avon, viata malei rachamim. Anu yameinu kitzel over, viatahu shenotecha lo. Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu tavo lefanecha tefilatenu ba'al titala mitchinatenu she'en anachnu azefanim u'kshe'oref lomar lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu tzadikim anachnu ve'lo chatanu aval anachnu v'avoteinu chatanu
235. Hashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, Dibarnu Dofi, Havinu, Vehirshanu, Zadnu, Hamasnu, Tafalnu Sheker. Yasnura, Kizavnu, Latnu, Maradnu, Niatnu, Sararnu, Avinu, Pashanu, Sararnu, Kishinu, Oref. Rashanu, Shichatnu, Tiavnu, Tainu, Titanu.
Sarnu mitzotecha mishotecha tovim velo shabalanu V'ata tzadik al kol habalenu Ki emet asita v'anachnu hirshanu
We turn to 237. Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha b'onas v'barachon v'al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha b'imut aleh v'al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha b'vlidat v'al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha b'b'tuis v'atayim al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha b'gilui arayot v'al-Chet Al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha b'yitzer hara v'al-Chet shechatanu lefanecha b'yodim u'v'lo yodim ve'al kulam Eloha Slikhot selach lanu mechal lanu kaper lanu. We have sinned against you, but it doesn't matter. We have sinned against you by taking bribes. We have sinned against you by clever cynicism. We have sinned against you. We have sinned against you by we have sinned against you by greed and oppressive interest. And we have We have sinned against you in everyday conversation. We have sinned against you through conspiratorial. We have sinned against you through condescension. We have sinned against you through stammering. Slikhot, selach lanu mechalanu, kaper lanu. Alchet shechatanu levanecha b'brigano v'alchet Alchet shechatanu lefanecha b'tzumet yad v'alchet shechatanu lefanecha b'timhon levav ve'al kolam Elohai selichot selach lanu mechal lanu kaper lanu. You can be seated. It is an honor and a pleasure at this point to call up the president of Beth Sholom Synagogue, Alyssa Wertheimer.
Just when it seemed we were putting this pandemic behind us and seeing the light at the end of a very long tunnel, the Delta variant landed us with other ideas. With this new wave of illness, we're once again being forced to make compromises and adapt, and to test the limits of our patients' insanity. For almost 20 months, we've endured a grueling swirl of fear, grief, anxiety, and stress, with no easy way to plan for what comes next. Some of us have lost loved ones. Sorry, I should have practiced this with a mask. Several of us have suffered through the illness, and all of us have been changed forever. But as difficult as it has been, I've seen people doing amazing things. People learning new hobbies, teenagers finishing high school from a laptop in their bedroom, neighbors checking in on each other and rolling up sleeves to lend a hand. I realized during the pandemic what it is that makes human beings so amazing: our talents. As synagogue president for Beth Sholom, I'm proud to give my time and talents to support this vibrant congregation. I'd love to say I give back in this way purely because it's the right thing to do, but when I'm honest with myself, I also have to acknowledge that I get big rewards from being involved. It feels good to see something grow and flourish because of personal effort. I bet it's a similar feeling Carrie Unowski gets when she works tirelessly for the Ritual Committee, or the rewards the women of Sisterhood feel for their contributions to their amazing volunteer projects. And I know for a fact that Susan Moinister is proud of her work on the Tikkun Alum Committee. Beth Sholom thrives because of these women and people like them who made the conscious choice to chip in and give back. We thrive because of Rabbi Sarit and Gio and the dedicated board of lay leaders. We thrive because of our minyan leaders and B'nai Mitzvah tutors. We thrive because of our programming committee. We are very blessed. Our financial health is strong, our rabbi is strong, our executive director is strong, and at least in the last dozen years that I've been involved, we've never been in this strong of a position. We were always putting out fires, solving thorny situations, and struggling financially. But now that we're in a good place, I worry that volunteers have stepped back. Maybe they think, the shul is doing great, they don't need me. But that's not really the case. We still need people to step up. We need you to lead services, chair committees, or pitch in the kitchen when we need help. We need people to serve on the Tikkun Alum Committee, helping to care for our greater community. We need people to help reignite the Chesed Committee, which through the years has lost momentum. And we need people on the Ritual Committee to help preserve who we are. What we need is you. We need your sharp mind and attention to detail. We need you at Minyan. We need you at Shabbat services helping people get seated. We need you at our events, either online or in person. As a member of this human tribe, and more specifically, this beautiful Beth Sholom family, we need your magnificent talents. Beth Sholom Synagogue is a beautiful and sturdy institution, and I'm not worried it will wither and fade anytime soon. But because it's a living, breathing thing, we need to do our part to nourish it and help it grow. There are roles of all sizes to be played in taking care of this congregation, and you are perfectly suited to play yours. If you have the urge to be involved but don't know where or how to plug in, reach out to me. I'd love to help match your unique skills and expertise to the right work that needs to be done. 20 months ago, when COVID landed on all of us, we did what we had to do, which was to take care of the people closest to us and the most vulnerable among us. But now it's time to take care of Beth Sholom and our community. We need that same activism, the same bravery and heroics you brought to the COVID battle. We need this family that loves each other to come together and take care of our own.
Thank you, Alyssa. I'll invite you to turn to page 240. In the middle of the page, you'll see the piyut Mishe Ana. We ask that God, the one who answered all of our ancestors throughout time, we list them in this poem, that God will also answer us as well. Page 240. Huya anenu, Mishe ana,
Abraham Avinu behar haMoriah.
Huya anenu, Mishe ana, Litzchak benav, Shnei mizbeach. Huya anenu, Mishe ana, Lerivka beheriona, Huya anenu, Mishe ana, Huya anenu, Mishe ana, Be'onya, Huya anenu, Mishe ana, Lerachel be'itzmona, Huya anenu, Mishe ana, LeYosef beveit ha'asurim, Huya anenu, Mishe ana, Huya anenu, Huya anenu, Mishe ana, Lavotenu imotenu, Al Yam Suf.
Huya anenu,
Mishe ana, LeMoshe Bechorem, Huya anenu,
Mishe ana,
Mishe ana,
Miriam bivira.
Huya anenu. בקומו מתוך העדה, הוא יעננו משנה, לבנות צלוף חד בעמדן פתח ומועד, הוא יעננו משנה. We turn to page 243. We rise as the ark is open for Avinu Malkeinu. Avinu Malkeinu chatanu lefanach Avinu Malkeinu ein lanu melech elat Avinu Malkeinu asein manu leman shemach Avinu Malkeinu chadesh shalim shalom Avinu Malkeinu.
Avinu Malkeinu hachazirenu b'teshuva shlema lefanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu hachazirenu b'teshuva shlema lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu shlach refuah shlema lecholei amecha.
Avinu Malkeinu shlach refuah shlema lecholei amecha. Avinu Malkeinu zochrenu b'zikaron tov lefanecha.
Avinu Malkeinu zochrenu b'zikaron tov lefanecha. Avinu Malkeinu kotvenu b'sefer chayim tovim.
Avinu kotvenu b'sefer chayim tovim. Avinu Malkeinu kotvenu b'sefer gula v'yeshua.
Avinu Malkeinu kotvenu b'sefer gula v'yeshua. Avinu Malkeinu kotvenu b'sefer parnasa v'chalkala. Avinu Malkeinu kotvenu b'sefer zachuyot. Avinu Malkeinu kotvenu b'sefer selicha umchila. Avinu Malkeinu atzmach lamir shebak Avinu Malkeinu Avinu Malkeinu Salman Hergi Malkeinu Malkeinu Salman Bayi Shuvayim Kiddush Shemecha Avinu Malkeinu Salman Chaim Lo Lema'anenu.
Avinu Malkeinu
Chonenu Vanenu. Avinu Malkeinu Chonenu Vanenu Ki ein manu ma'asim asay manu tzedaka v'chesed asay manu tzedaka v'chesed ve'hoshienu. We continue on 245 with Kaddish Shalem.
Yitgadal ve'yitgadash shenei rabba.
Amen.
Ve'ol ma'atirak yirutei ve'yamlich malchutei. V'chayechonu ve'yom echod. U'chayegechu beit Yisrael. Ba'adala u'bizman karim.
Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach. Amen.
Bishlam Rabba Mishimaya B'chaim Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael V'yimeru Amen.
Amen. Aleinu 246. Ladon hakol atet kenula liotzer breshit shelo asanu kengoyei haratzot velo samanu kemishpachot adama shelo samchokenu kahem vegor aleinu kechol hamonam v'anachnu korim ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו אחד. You can be seated. All those who are in mourning or observing a yahrzeit, I invite you to join me. Kaddish Yatom, Mourner's Kaddish, page 247. Yit Gadal, Vayit Kadash, Shemei Rabbah, Be'alma, Divra, Kirute, Ve'amlich Malchute, Bechayechon, Uv'yomechon, Uv'chayei, Dechol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, Uvizman, Kariv, Imru, Amen. Yehei Shmei Rabbah, Mevorach, Leolam, Ulamei Almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yitaleh v'yithalal shemei dekudsha brichu le'ela mikol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlam arab amin shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom bimrama. Hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Page 248 for Psalm 27. David Adonai Rivi Shem Mimi Adonai Meos Kai Mimi Afan Bakar Balai Marim La Kola Besari Sarai Ve'oivai Lihem Akshalom Limatam. Gemar Chatima Tova to all of you. It's wonderful to have those of you with us in the sanctuary. We're glad to have you. Yasher Koch to Rabbi Avi Schachter Gampel for leading us in a beautiful Kol Nidre service. Thank you to Gio for everything that you've done to make tonight, this entire high holiday season possible. Thank you for your words tonight, Alyssa. Thank you to Josh, our tech man up there, who allows all of you at home to be with us. We're so grateful that you can daven with us wherever you are, and thank you to Josh for helping to make that possible tonight. We will be back here tomorrow morning at 8:30. The symposium tomorrow afternoon is at 4:15 with Mincha and Ne'ilah. Following that tomorrow morning at 8:30. We'll conclude tonight with Yigdal, page 250. קדושתו, אשר נברא, ראשון ואין ראשית לראשיתו, הינו אדון עולם בכל נוצר, יורה גדולתו, מלכותו, שכם נבואתו, נתנו אל אנשי סגולתו ותפארתו, לא קם בישראל כמו שעוד, נביא ומביט את אמונתו, תורת אמת נתן לימואל, על יד נביאו נאמן ביתו, לא יחליף האל ולא ימיר דתו לעולמים לזולתו, צופה ויודע סתרנו, מביט לסוף דבר בקדמתו, כמפעלו נותן לרשרה כרישתו, ישלח לקץ ימין משיחנו, לבדות מחכה קץ ישועתו, מתים יחייל ברוך חסדו, ברוך הדיין שם תהילתו, מתים יחייל ברוך חסדו, ברוך הדיין שם תהילתו. גמר חתימה טובה.